I'm Natasha Kirchak, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, 3 more rockets are fired at Israel from the Gaza Strip. It looks like the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence is postponing his trip to Israel. And the world's greatest soccer star is about to become the face of an Israeli brand. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. Three more rockets have just been fired from the Gaza Strip at Israeli territory. This is the 6th night in a row we've seen rocket fire, and as usual, the army has swiftly retaliated by bombing Hamas military targets inside of the Strip. As you can see in this video taken near the Gaza border, the Iron Dome intercepted 2 of the rockets, exploding them in midair before they could do any damage. The other rocket apparently misfired and actually damaged a school inside the Gaza Strip. Tensions are clearly reaching a breaking point in the wake of President Trump's bombshell decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. There have been over a dozen rockets fired out of Gaza now, and earlier this week, a Palestinian terrorist stabbed an Israeli guard outside Jerusalem's central bus station. This time, Israel is taking an extra step for these new rocket attacks and is closing the Gaza border crossing into and out of the Strip. The army will allow passage only in the case of extreme humanitarian reasons. No word on when the crossings will be reopened. An emergency meeting of Islamic countries has just convened to counter President Trump's controversial decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Leaders representing the 57-country delegation have responded to that claim by declaring East Jerusalem as Palestine's capital. ILTV's Brett Allen Smith has more on this story. And Brett, first off, does this announcement change anything on the ground?
Well, much like Trump's speech last week, I'd say this is more of a symbolic gesture than anything else. Now, what it does demonstrate here is that we're probably going to see all kinds of new alliances forming in the Islamic world pretty soon. The Palestinian cause is clearly something that all 57 countries are prepared to really rally behind, regardless of their own conflicts. Now, this assembly has made this statement, and it represents 1.6 billion people worldwide, so although these words may be totally symbolic, it's not something to take totally lightly.
Well, obviously, this is a debate that's only going to get more and more heated as countries take a stand. Sure. Now, how is that debate going to impact Israel?
Well, we're probably going to see it happen in 2 ways. Now, first, we're going to see more of what we're seeing in Turkey. Israel and Turkey finally signed their reconciliation deal last year, but after Trump's speech, Erdogan called Israel a terror state that kills children. So that relationship is obviously being tested right now. Now, the second thing we might see more of is, of course, how people interpret that for themselves as citizens. Now, Israelis don't seem especially impacted because they've seen Jerusalem as their capital for years. But while flying over the city, a Jordanian pilot just told passengers to look out the window and check out Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine. There's a lot that could happen, but let's go ahead and check out the rest of the report.
Filistin devletini henüz tanımamış tüm ülkelere derhal Filistin devletini tanımaları çağrısında bulunuyorum. Biz bugün Kudüs'ü Filistin'in başkenti olarak tanıdığımızı ilan ettik.
This emergency summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation comes at a difficult time for the Palestinians. Reconciliation between President Abbas's Fatah government and Hamas has staggered to a standstill, and though fierce infighting remains the primary obstacle, President Trump's landmark speech last week has clearly refocused the attention.
الولايات المتحدة لم تعد وسيطا نزيها، يعني لا نقبل نحن كفلسطينيين وكعرب وكمسلمين لم نعد نستطيع القبول بأمريكا أن تكون وسيطا، لأن أبسط الشروط التي يجب أن تتوفر بالوسيط أن يكون نزيها، أن يكون محايدا، لا أن يكون منحازا لطرف دون آخر.
Like many Israelis, however, Prime Minister Netanyahu remains unimpressed with the Palestinians' claim. After affirming Israel's right to Jerusalem in front of a panel of European foreign ministers, Netanyahu has just repeated those words to his own intelligence cabinet.
מוטב קודם כל לפלסטינים להכיר במציאות ולפעול למען שלום ולא למען הקצנה, ולהכיר בעובדה נוספת ביחס לירושלים. לא רק שהיא בירת ישראל, אנחנו גם שומרים בירושלים על חופש הפולחן לכל הדתות, ואנחנו אלה שמבטיחים במזרח התיכון את ההבטחה הזאת, כפי שאף אחד לא מבטיח אותה, ולעיתים קרובות גם נכשלים בכך באופן מחפיר. ולכן כל ההצהרות הללו אינן מרשימות אותנו. סופה של המציאות, סופה של האמת לנצח, ויכירו מדינות רבות בירושלים כבירת ישראל, וגם יעבירו את השגרירויות לכאן.
With international outrage still inflamed ever since Trump's speech, clearly this is a debate that isn't going anywhere for the time being.
Israeli security forces have just stopped a Hamas terror plot to abduct an Israeli citizen during the Hanukkah holiday. 3 Palestinian suspects have been arrested in the West Bank. The Shin Bet says they were funded by Hamas in Gaza and that they were planning to kidnap a soldier or an Israeli settler from a bus station in the West Bank. 3 of Israel's top security teams spent weeks investigating this kidnapping plot, thankfully averting it just in time. Security efforts throughout the region have been ramping up as of late. Israel's border police just launched one of its biggest operations in years, arresting 367 Palestinians who were illegally living in Israeli territory. 38 of those actually came from Gaza. Illegal weapons, including gas containers, pipe bombs, Molotov cocktails, and even guns have also been confiscated in those arrests. In a separate operation conducted in East Jerusalem, 37 Palestinians have also been arrested and suspected of violently rioting against Trump's Jerusalem announcement. The army has been doing all it can to calm the intense and often violent clashes that have erupted in the wake of Trump's now infamous speech. It looks like Vice President Mike Pence's trip to the Holy Land has been delayed. Pence was originally set to visit Israeli leaders in the Knesset and light the Hanukkah menorah in front of the Western Wall, but now the vice president will remain in Washington, D.C. to work on Congress's tax reform push. ILTV's Aaron Porras has the details.
Thank you very much, Natasha. And yeah, don't worry, Vice President Pence will only be delaying his trip a few days, most likely. So while his trip's itinerary is still not exactly confirmed, he's scheduled to land in Cairo next Wednesday and then come to Jerusalem the day after.
Now, he's going to be meeting with both Egypt and Israel, but what about the Palestinians?
So actually, originally, his itinerary also included a meeting in Bethlehem with Palestinian Authority President Abbas. But after everything that's happened recently,
and as we reported,
exactly, they have very little intention with meeting United States officials right now.
And nothing has changed on that front as of now.
Exactly, nothing has changed on that front. In fact, a Fatah top official and convicted terrorist Jibril Rajoub even said, quote, he's not welcome, flat out, in Palestine. So, and that was just before canceling the meeting with Vice President Pence. But I'll tell you more about that right now in my report.
Sources say it's only a short delay of 3 days, which means Pence would arrive just as Hanukkah ends. Either way, this trip comes less than 2 weeks after President Trump's now infamous decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital and move the United States Embassy in the coming years accordingly. Outrage and protests have erupted all over the world since, especially among the Palestinians, who are now refusing to meet with Pence during his visit. The White House says Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas's rhetoric has, quote, prevented peace for years, end quote. But for many, especially the Palestinians, Trump's speech marks the end of America's role as an impartial negotiator in the peace process.
Who says all entrepreneurs have to be adults? Joining us now is Galit Zamir, the founder of a very unique program that is teaching kids to be the future of entrepreneurship. Thanks so much for coming in. I'm excited to hear about this. So tell us a little bit about what your program does.
We teach kids from the 4th grade at schools how to be entrepreneurs, how to think like entrepreneurs, how to find opportunities and go over them and make them real, implement them, make real projects.
So how are you doing that? In what way do you teach about entrepreneurship?
Okay, we teach we teach the teachers and they teach the students in the school, and we teach them all what an adult entrepreneur needs to know. That's why they do.
Interesting. So can you give examples? I mean, I'd also like to know how you came up with this idea, but give us a more kind of solid example of what it means to be an entrepreneur, what you teach the kids.
Okay. First we teach them that look for opportunities, look for needs, look for not only on yourself, but look at other people's. When you find a need, okay, start thinking about how you can solve them. And when you have a solution, so how can you implement it? It's like, we tell them, it's like a cake recipe. Like you need to know what's the ingredients to make a cake, so you need to know what you have to to implement this project, and then you start to implement it.
Very cool. So what have the results been like for the children? Have we seen any little business owners at this point?
It's not only just business. Sometimes it's inventions that they invent. Sometimes it's social ventures in the school. So it's to be helpful for their students in the school to make them feel good, or the community around the school, and also business. But the money is for the school. It's not for them.
Okay, not yet at least. Not yet at least.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see if there are any intellectual property lawsuits as a result of this program. Hopefully not. So where has the program been implemented so far? In Israel? Anywhere else?
It has been implemented in Israel for over 50 schools here and thousands of students. Wow. And we have one school in the United States, in Florida. It's called the Hebrew Academy.
Well, hopefully this program is going to expand, because I think it's a great initiative. This is something that all kids could learn, a lot more fundamental and basic, right? Which you would think that this would be something that we would be teaching our kids already, right?
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming in, Galil. Very interesting. All right, this scandal surrounding former Argentine President Cristina Kirchner de Fernandez has just taken a shocking twist. Kirchner has long been suspected of helping cover up Iran's role in the bombing of a Jewish center in 1994. But new evidence has just surfaced that's caused the courts to order her immediate arrest. Court documents, including a letter written from Iran's own foreign minister, have just dropped a bombshell of evidence against Argentina's former president. The court believes these documents confirm what many have suspected for years, that Kirchner used her role as president to grant Iran near total impunity from committing the worst terror attack in Argentina's history. 85 people were murdered in the bombing of the Buenos Aires Jewish Center, but the cover-up conspiracy blew open when prosecutor Alberto Nisman named Kirchner as a prime suspect.
Presidenta Cristina Fernández de Kirchner le ordena a su canciller que hay que desinvolucrar, por los motivos que ahora voy a explicar, a Irán de la causa AMIA. Nada de lo que se hace acá es sin la directiva expresa de la presidenta. Esta no es una suposición por pensar que la presidenta maneja en general el gobierno del país. Está específicamente probada la cercanía y cómo se la consulta.
The day before he was set to testify, he was discovered dead in his home with a bullet in his head. But this official government letter from Iran, written in Arabic, confirms that Kirchner agreed to protect Iran in exchange for Iranian oil. The pact was made in 2013 and apparently involved the Argentine government revoking 6 Interpol red notices calling for arrests of Iranian and Hezbollah terrorists. The former president has repeatedly denied this to be the case, but in light of this new evidence, the court has ordered her immediate arrest. Well, Israeli cops just made back-to-back arrests in an archaeological site in the Lower Galilee. Multiple suspects have been caught attempting to steal priceless artifacts from a 2,000-year-old excavation site. When police caught the thieves red-handed in the act, one of the suspects came up with this brilliant cover story of, he said, "We were just hunting porcupines." Police were called out last night when a suspect was seen attempting to rob a 2,000-year-old grave on Mount Hazon, full of incredible and rare artifacts dating back to the 1st century CE. One suspect was caught attempting to illegally excavate the rare artifacts for himself, while 2 others escaped. This porcupine cover story is an ironic one because earlier this week, an Israeli mother and daughter actually discovered an ancient oil lamp at the mouth of a porcupine cave. The police probably thought their work was done for the night until a second set of robbers attempted to rob the same site just a few hours later. 3 suspects were arrested inside the cave, digging for and destroying antiques, and their 2 lookouts were busted outside. Israel is, of course, a land of rich historical finds, which is why destroying archaeological sites can land you up to 5 years in prison. Today, over 8.5% of the world population is above the age of 65, and that number is projected to keep on growing significantly. Joining us now is Dr. Yael Benvenisti and Mr. Dov Sugarman, the co-CEOs of Mediterranean Tower Ventures, a company that is investing in solutions to improve the lives of the elderly. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Now, this is a very interesting topic. Why did you choose to focus on this issue?
Well, the world is getting older. We are now facing around 12% of the population that are 60 years old and above.
Yeah.
And when we're speaking 30 years from now, we will be facing 16% of the population that will be older adults. There are countries like Japan that are facing now more than 20% of the population that are older adults. This is a dramatic change in the population. But this leads us to two main facts. The first one is that the number of the people that are 85 years and above is dramatically increasing. And the second fact is that the producing population, the ratio between the producing population and the consumer population is getting lower and lower.
Right.
So if we want to continue to provide services to a growing population, we must develop technologies, and we must adopt these technologies into our lives and into the national services.
So what are the trends right now in terms of the types of products and services that we see coming out right now for the elderly, and what products is your company specifically focusing on?
So we're really excited by what we're seeing happening in Israel. Better and better companies, better and better entrepreneurs, really coming up with some good solutions. One of the main areas we're seeing stuff is in aging in place. So people are choosing to stay at home in their community and age with dignity as long as they can. So solutions to connect them with services, to connect them socially with friends, to give them meaning and engagement in their daily lives are really interesting. Some really nice platforms coming up to do that. We're seeing some nice stuff with AR and VR. For rehab, for also consuming entertainment on goggles. We're seeing a bit of stuff coming around the social networks and shared economy, new ways to leverage service providers who may not currently be among those people providing services to older people. And then we're seeing a lot with cognition, a lot around dementia, a lot around memory. How do we improve our memory? How do we do earlier diagnoses of Alzheimer and other diseases so that maybe we can intervene sooner and give people some help
and Israel is one of the leading countries when it comes to these kinds of medical breakthroughs. So I mean, what do you believe will be the main technologies that we should be focusing on in the near future, if you could select one of those?
So our thinking is that we're going to see a lot of work around smart homes, age-friendly cities, but particularly smart homes. The largest percentage of the population is going to stay at home and age in place in their homes. Somewhere between 90 and 95% of people are going to be at home, and they need solutions to enable them to stay at home longer, independently and with their dignity intact. So we're going to see a lot in those regards in Israel and in other places. And we think another big area is cognitive technologies. The dementia epidemic is becoming more and more problematic as people live longer. So we're going to see more and more work around mind and dementia and keeping people's cognition intact as long as possible.
All right, well, thank you both so much for coming in and telling us about what your company does. This is clearly a community and a population that we need to be focusing on a lot more than we are right now. All right. Ever heard of cave disease, Darling's disease, spelunker's lung? Well, they're all one and the same, a rare fungus infection that's hospitalized both Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash. The thing is, cave disease, as it's called, has actually never been found anywhere in the Middle East until now. The region's first ever case has just been diagnosed in an Israeli woman in the Galilee. Doctors in Israel's Rambam Medical Center, which is constantly making headlines with amazing new medical breakthroughs, have immediately treated the disease, and thankfully the woman is now fully recovered. Cave disease, or histoplasmosis, comes from a fungus that's usually found in bird or bat droppings. Patients usually develop dark lesions on their skin as a result, along with a string of complications to the body's natural systems. A cave in Israel's Galilee was apparently incubating the fungus back in the 70s, but this is actually the first human case for the disease anywhere in the Middle East. Cave disease can sometimes be fatal if untreated, but typically the body can kill it on its own. For all of you fans of soccer legend Lionel Messi, who is my personal favorite player, well, it looks like the Argentine superstar is about to have a lot more face time in Israel. An Israeli startup has just landed Messi as the new face of their company to promote their incredible new phone that is specially designed to safely exchange cryptocurrency. That guy on the right, of course, is legendary soccer superstar Lionel Messi. The Argentine athlete plays pro soccer for Barcelona and has won FIFA's Ballon d'Or prize for best footballer in the world 5 times over. But you may not recognize the guy on the left. That's Moshe Hogeg, co-founder and co-CEO of Israel's Sirin Labs startup. The company has just perfected a brand new mobile phone specifically designed for safe and secure blockchain technology. Think of blockchain as a digital record of all of your cryptocurrency, like bitcoins. But even more exciting than the new technology is the news that Messi himself will now be the face of the whole company, which means his iconic work on the field is now merging with advanced Israeli tech, launching the company's face all over the world. Messi is no stranger to Israel, of course. He came to Israel during the peace tour in 2013, visited the Western Wall, and even passed the ball with former Israeli President Shimon Peres. Not bad, Messi, not bad.
It's already the third night of Hanukkah, and all over the world, people are celebrating this year's Festival of Lights. Some students in New Jersey are kicking off the party in spectacular fashion by making the world's biggest human menorah of all time. Guinness World Record officials were on site to confirm that, yes, this is, in fact, the world's largest human menorah ever. Over 500 students from a private Jewish school in New Jersey coordinated colors and movements to bring it to life, even wearing orange and red shirts to help light the candle and welcome Hanukkah. They're not the only ones celebrating, of course. Social media is ablaze with celebrity menorahs and dreidels as well. Jewish actress and activist Marlee Matlin posted her Hanukkah wishes in sign language. President Trump's daughter Ivanka shared scenes of her family's celebration. Big Bang actress Mayim Bialik lit her menorah on the set of the hit TV show. And the Maccabees have joined London's Muslim mayor Sadiq Khan to kick off the holiday in England. But our favorite celebrity post of all might be from Borat's wife, Sacha Baron Cohen's wife, Isla Fisher, who shared a little glimpse of what she calls her latke frying outfit. All right, it's Hanukkah, so ILTV's Emmanuel Kadosh is here with the top 5 fun facts about the holiday. Let's check it out.
Happy Hanukkah, everyone, from the ILTV team to you and your family. And with this festive holiday being celebrated, we bring you the top 5 fun facts about Hanukkah. At number 1, we're talking holiday calories, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, sufganiyot. Let's be honest, you can't expect the jelly-filled treat fried in oil to be fat-free. Well, apparently the average 100-gram sufganiyah packs between 400 and 600 calories. Meanwhile, one potato latkes has about 150 calories, but who really only eats one? Each chocolate coin will ring you up to 85 calories. Yeah, I'll just let that fun fact sink in for a sec. At number 2, we're talking all about the different ways there are to say and spell Hanukkah. You have Hanukkah with an H and one N, then we have Hanukkah with a CH, which is meant to have you say it like a true Israeli, Hanukkah. And then there's the classic American translation for the holiday, Festival of Lights. Doesn't matter how you say it, all that matters is that you're lighting the candles. Number 3 on our lists are dreidels. Dreidels, dreidels, dreidels. It's been reported that Israeli author and politician Abraham Berg has the largest dreidel collection in the world with over 3,500 dreidels. The word itself is a Yiddish one, which comes from the word dre, which means spin. The letters on the festive toy stand for the phrase, a great miracle happened here, and it did. The 4th fun fact on our list, Hanukkah may be one of the most celebrated and known Jewish festivals. The holiday itself is actually considered more of a minor one, according to religious traditions, of course, when in fact Passover, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur are the most significant ones. The holiday is apparently not even mentioned in the Torah, but don't worry, we love it just as much. Last and definitely most interesting fact, Hanukkah made its first appearance at the United States White House back in 1951, when Israeli Prime Minister at the time, David Ben-Gurion, gifted Harry Truman with a menorah. Many presidents, including Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Bill Clinton, all recognized and attended some kind of candle lighting event. President George W. Bush held the first official White House Hanukkah party back in 2001, and since the tradition has continued. Even President Barack Obama started a new one by hosting Passover setters at the White House, but that's a different situation. That's all for today's Top 5. Back to you.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. If you're looking for some quality advice, we know who you should go to. Akshishim, which means the elderly in Hebrew. Now, in my opinion, the best classroom in the world is at the feet of an elderly person. Akshishim have a whole lifetime of experience to usually point you in the right direction. So if you ever feel like your grandma or grandpa is talking off your ear, don't take what they're saying to granted. As members of Akshishim, they have most likely had more experiences being wrong than right, and we all learn the best from our mistakes. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight is set to be cloudy, but with a rise in temperatures to a low of 55 or 13 degrees Celsius. Temperatures are expected to drop over the weekend with a chance of rain tomorrow, but sunny skies again on Saturday. The high should be around 71 or 22 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.53 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.